The executive session was for the purpose of consideration of real property acquisitions and dispositions. And in that regard, the council did consider real property acquisitions and dispositions. No follow-up is requested at this time.
Thank you. That takes us to our council comments, committee reports, and identification of future agenda items. We're going to run through these really quickly just because I know it is legislative session, busy time of year where committees might be moving quickly. So if you have nothing.
Sorry to interrupt, you missed the city attorney's report.
Oh, sorry, because the city attorney was talking, I just sort of was thinking that was the report. So you're absolutely right. That takes us out of our executive session item J and to our city attorney's report. City Attorney Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report this evening.
Thank you very much. So that takes us to our committee reports, and we'll just go really quickly through them. And if you have nothing to report, just say no report. Economic Vitality Committee.
We'll be meeting on Friday. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a meeting on yesterday, Monday, and really only one agenda item. We talked about the implementation of the bag tax for 2022. One of the first things we really dealt with was the projection of revenues. Staff did a tremendous amount of work around that, and we really are taking a conservative approach for revenue projections. And really the first year, we're just looking at trying to recover costs, the startup costs for this year, and then the program cost when it's implemented in 2022. One of the things for all of us to know is House Bill 1163 is a single use bill that's been introduced, and that will affect plastic bags. There could be a ban on plastic bags starting in the fall of 2022. So we'll if that does pass, we'll probably want to have a discussion about reassessing the implementation of our bag tax. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Colorado Communities for Climate Action.
No report this week.
Utility Committee.
Utility Committee met, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and we had a tutorial on how to read a box and whiskers statistical plot, and that was very interesting. But in addition to that, Kurt and Corey took us through the first conversation on the utility rate design, the cost of service and rate structure. And the Utility Committee didn't feel it warranted a major revision based on what staff presented and the evidence supporting our approach now. And staff will prepare a briefing for council probably next month when we get together again.
Thank you. Oh.
And we also talked about, the update on the drought and possible voluntary restrictions. And I think we have already talked about that at council, but that's going to continue to play out as we see what the moisture content is this spring. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dickinson.
I just want to note that Jeff Lipton's comments put 3 council members out of their box.
Very good. Commuting Solutions.
No report.
Thank you. Consortium of Cities.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. At our next meeting, we'll be discussing probability density functions. So no, there's no report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Street Fair.
Street Fair has no report.
Thank you. Denver Regional Council of Governments. We are still working on the MVRTP, Metro Vision Regional Transportation Plan for 2050. Right now, peak service is included in the plan. Yay! So that's pretty exciting. And the public comment period is open through tomorrow. We're also working on the next round of Revitalizing Main Streets grants that'll go out to communities, and there'll be even another round that communities can apply to for safety and mobility. So it's not just the Revitalizing Main Streets, it's also the Safer Main Streets program. So it's several different components. One is the dining components and outdoor dining and things like that. The other component is really around safety and mobility. So the Denver metro region has 70% of the fatal crashes on urban arterials in the state, and we really need to work to get our fatal crashes down. And so by targeting money towards safety projects and equity projects, we're going to do the best job we can in trying to get that number lower and towards zero. And that takes us to Joint Interest Committee.
No report.
Mayors and Commissioners Coalition. This week, we're in Washington, D.C. It's a little different than it has been in past years. Normally, we're actually in Washington, D.C. But this year we are in virtual meetings. So if I seemed a little off tonight, it's because I've been virtually meeting pretty well all day since 8 o'clock. So trying to keep our energy up. We're really working on advocating for an infrastructure package from the federal government that includes multimodal transportation and earmarking, which they're calling community programs now. So old earmarking is back, except we're changing the name to community programs. And we would really like to get some earmarking for rail and for our important corridor projects within the Boulder area, including 119 Highway 7, 287, and potentially 42. So we're trying to get just excitement and energy behind this infrastructure bill that's coming and encourage bold thinking around it and investment in transportation. And that takes us to Metro Mayor's Caucus. Metro Mayor's Caucus is working on a few initiatives, homelessness being one of them, and putting on some really nice educational seminars around ending homelessness and trying to get all the leaders across the region to attend these meetings to understand what actions we can take around homelessness collectively to address the issues. And I'm on the Transportation Committee on Metro Mayor's Caucus, and we've been working to try to advocate for a more fair share of statewide funding for transportation. So when our Denver Metro region puts in $1, we get about 50 cents back. So for this new proposal that's coming forward, it's a fee-based proposal. And we just feel that given the nature of fees and how the courts view fees and how we all feel we need to represent fees to our constituencies, that if an area puts in $1, they should be able to roughly get $1 back. It's a fee, it's not a tax, it's not allocated on some other basis. It's to provide services to the people that pay the fees. And so we would like to get a more fair share back out of any fee-based revenue that's coming in the future. And so we're working to try to get close. You know, we recognize that we're not ever going to get $1 back for $1 we put in the metro region because of the need to serve our diverse state and because of the way that we all use other areas of the region as well. But we need to do a little bit better than 50 cents on the dollar to serve our population. So we're just trying to get a little bit more back. So stay tuned. Revitalization Commission.
We had a meeting last week. I was in deposition the whole day, unfortunately. But I will say, it looks like Megan Pierce is off, but I presume that we will try to get one of those DRCOG Main Street grants or put our name in the hat for that.
I know they're looking at that to understand, you know, anytime you try to get free money, it always costs. So they are understanding the cost and benefit of the free money.
I don't think I could have said it better. I do object to there's a certain kind of policy wonkiness tonight that I think we're getting into a little bit into the maybe too much jargon, and I really demand that Councilmember Lipton explain, if he can, in 25 words or less, what a box and whiskers chart is. Well, I'm going to register an objection.
Thank you, Councilmember Dickinson.
Can't be done in 25 words or less, sorry.
Councilmember Dickinson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to comment that I got an email from a constituent who was incredibly impressed with our snow plowing, and sent an email to Kurt Coer about the care that was taken on their street not to block them in. And he sent that email to Kurt to say, I don't know who the new driver is, and I don't know why you guys are so thoughtful, but I just want you to know we noticed in our neighborhood how thoughtful the driver was. And Kurt replied with, I was the driver. So our director was out there because obviously of the intensity of the storm. Our own director was out there in a snowplow himself, clearing streets. And I just think that is so Louisville, right? It's so small town that Kurt was out there himself clearing streets of snow and doing it in a respectful way for the residents. So just a shout out to Kurt.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. Rocky Mountain Metro Airport Roundtable?
The roundtable met, I believe it was last week, and we met with representatives from the FAA and air traffic control of the airport. And I think their major goal was to help us understand what our expectations can be or not be. So that was, that was what it was. And we're going to continue to keep working at it and meet every month and try to make some progress. So that's our report.
Thank you. Excel Energy Futures?
Before I answer that question, I just want to let Councilor Lay know he can watch the recording of the utility meeting where Corey will explain the whisker and box discussion for you. I have no report on the Excel Energy Futures.
Thank you. We also have great resources at the library for online classes that you can take with your library card. And so statistics would be a great place to start for that one. Councilmember Lay, additional comments?
Yes. I want to piggyback on what Councilmember Dickinson just said. I do put some stuff on social media from time to time on on this. I posted a couple of things. I'm always a little worried because usually we don't hear anything good about snow plowing and we hear all the bad comments. I got so many hits on this thing, and I'll actually I'll do some screenshots and send it to both the city manager and to Kurt, because I do think those times are really hard for those guys, and it's nice that they can keep their heads about them and do such a good job. And I know personally, I'm on a cul-de-sac, and I was like, we're never going to get out, or we're not going to get out for days and days and days, and that's okay. And it happened, and I'm not the only cul-de-sac. I had a whole bunch of people in cul-de-sacs say, wow, this was great. So over delivering, always a great thing. But I think it's kind of been our standard of performance in the city, and I really appreciate it.
Right on. That is really great. And I think it's fantastic that you guys are taking the time to bring up the stories and do those screenshots so that everybody knows how appreciated they are. We do tend to hear the negative comments in an amplified way. And so I think that would go a long way if you could combine that together for folks so they could read the positive as well. Any other advanced agenda topics or council comments? All right, seeing none, thank you everyone. We're adjourned this evening and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you all.